If the Age of Exploration was a soccer game, the Spanish definitely would have won at least the first half due to their key players that allowed them to make the most of the land they discovered. Why explore, you might ask? Well, Christianity was a big part of it for the Spanish. They really strived to spread their religion across the world. Along with this, the Ottoman Turks,
aka Arda Turan,
had closed off the Silk Road due to their control over the area, making trade to India and the Middle East nearly impossible for the Europeans. This forced the Europeans to find other routes to India to achieve those resources.
Portugal was another factor that impacted Spain's exploration. It's portrayed by Cristiano Ronaldo, also known as Henry the Navigator. He was critical because he provided nationalism for Portugal, which in turn motivated them to explore. This same sense of nationalism was adopted by the Spaniards.
The first notable explorer from Spain, with the backing of Ferdinand and Isabella, was Christopher Columbus,
aka Iker Casillas.
He's credited with discovering the New World, even though he only made it to the Caribbean, and even thought the whole time he was in India and died believing he had discovered a new route to India.
Magellan, also known as Xavi. So Magellan was important because he promoted Spain nationalism. The idea was he had circumnavigated the whole world. However, he died in the Philippines. This is the same as Xavi being retired. Now, onto the Treaty of Tordesillas. What happened was the Pope split the world into two places, the Portugal side and the Spain side. Spain believed that they were getting the short end of the stick. However, in reality, they'd gotten more, such as the New World. Pew!
This brought along the conquistadors, who strived to discover and make the lands that they had been given by the Pope theirs. One of the most notable ones was Hernando Cortez,
portrayed by Andres Iniesta.
He's credited with defeating the Aztecs through force of the weapons that were more advanced and smallpox.
Additionally, he brought horses to the lands, which scared the Aztecs.
Along the same kind of lines, Pizarro,
aka Sergio Ramos, the dirty boy,
conquered the Incans through force, the same as Cortez, and he used the same tactics, being germs that the natives had not seen before, along with advanced weaponry. In these new colonies, an encomienda was established to ensure that the Native Americans were allowed to be used by their Spanish superiors as labor, but they had to be paid fair wages and they had to be represented spiritually. However, since the king could not enforce these rules across the seas, it turned into a vicious system of forced labor of the Native Americans, and so the king disbanded it and instead placed viceroys, which were governing bodies that answered to the king only and were set in place to keep the peace of the land.
And now, basically, the Age of Exploration was just a big soccer game for Spain. What happened was they acquired more land or scored a bunch of goals with their three critical explorers, or players, that were the Cortez, Pizarro, and Columbus. Overall, Spain did extremely well in the Age of Exploration, discovering the New World and Peru, and conquering the Aztecs and Incas. They did much better than they actually did in the FIFA 2014 World Cup, and they've only declined now.